Hi everyone, welcome to Film Distribution Workshop. Film distribution is the biggest mystery but the most important cycle of filmmaking. This is time you get money for your efforts. Making a feature film is now easier than ever. Understanding how film can sell is very important, just as much as understanding how to make film. As an independent filmmaker, I face the same issue dealing with films and my films in selling the film. So it's very important for me to see how distribution works and what is possible and self-distribute. And now always to depend on, we always depend on the distributor because often they don't care about your film. Not all distribution houses are sincere for filmmaker, because for them it's just a product. This is Raaj Rahhi, director, producer, and distribution consultant. And today I am with my partner, Mr. Ken Nas, ex-CEO and president of Eros International. And before that, he was part of big distribution and exhibitor chain in the USA. So I welcome Mr. Ken, and we're going to talk about film distribution today, how the film distribution is going to work. So, Mr. Khan.
Mr. Raji, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. As you know, film business is my passion, distribution is my passion. Hi, everybody. And I'm looking forward to this, this talk because, distribution is, as you rightfully said, is a very, very important part of this completion of this, film journey that I call it. And if people are not watching a filmmaker's movie, the purpose is defeated. So it's a very, very important part of that, the whole package, if I could say that, use that word. I will say, before you have some questions for me, but I will say that this part of the business, to me, a very, very important part, is completely or, greatly not thought about by people that are making the movies. Filmmaking is a very important, step and important thing to do. Obviously, the most important, because if you don't have the product, you have nothing to sell. But then right after that, how the movie is presented and how it's distributed will tell us, the success of it. And I know, having been on both sides of this thing of production and distribution, our aim always, everybody's aim, including independent filmmakers or any filmmaker's aim, is to make a movie and then make more movies. I cannot recall talking to somebody who said, well, I made a movie and I'm done. No, people want to make more movies, and to make any movie, it requires money. It requires, of course, it requires talent and all that, absolutely. But you do need money, you do need funding, and you do need a proper setup, and distribution and proper exploitation of a movie is what can be achieved by that. And then, as you and I know very well, that many filmmakers have investors who are eagerly waiting to get their either their money back or some profit out of it. And so if we keep them happy, we can continue making more movies. And sometimes it can lead to a lot of, legal problems and so on and so forth. And, upset investors. So we don't want that to happen. That's why distribution is a very important part of this, of filmmaking. Very important part of it.
So as you said, you're talking about the thought on the importance of distribution. So how filmmaker should go forward with, like, how they know that who's the right, who's the wrong, wrong is not a right word, but how they know that, and what step they have to take for the distribution as a first-time filmmaker or the filmmaker, those who are already in the business, how they should.
Yeah. So, as you know, in any business, including filmmaking, there are good and bad people. Unfortunately, also in filmmaking, in the film business, I should say, there are lots of bad elements who are ready to exploit people who are, who they know that the person has made a movie. He's in a bit of a desperate situation, so he is going to. Many of them, not all, but many of them are going to try to exploit the filmmaker, to say, listen, they don't know about the business. So how do I exploit them? How do I extract a lot of money out of them, and so on and so forth? And I see this day in and day out, and my heart breaks. So the question is a very valid one. The first thing that you should be doing is to identify what this particular distributor, who is there, what is his history. It's like anything, whether we get our cars repaired or doctors or anything, what is their history? What are some of the movies that they have distributed? And what has been their successes, and what is their, and that you can know very quickly upon some conversations with them. And then the other thing is, maybe in some point, in some places, contacting the people that they've worked with. They may or may not like it, but nothing wrong with calling somebody that they dealt with. Look, I've got this movie, I'm thinking of dealing with Mr. John Smith. What are your thoughts? And they will tell you that I had good experiences, or they might say to you, stay away because we had bad experiences. So that is one way. And it's like anything in life, meeting, doing a little due diligence on the person, on the distributor, looking at their past history, checking their credentials. It's the same way. It's the same way as a filmmaker would write, would hire a photographer or a cinematographer or an actor or all that. They would look at, this actor has done these roles, or this choreographer has done these roles. So same thing with distribution. Unfortunately, people look upon that a little bit late. So what happens in that situation is, you're just kind of throwing anything against the wall and see what sticks. Whereas the distributors are concerned, and some of the distributors, the bad ones, and there are many of them that take advantage of that, and they're trying to get, how many stories I hear all the time, almost every day, that that can you help us distribute this movie, because they gave some money to somebody who just didn't deliver, and they promised them the moon and the stars, and and it was like a bit of a con game that they did. So you have to do your due diligence on that.
Okay. So as a filmmaker, mostly believe that the distributor will take their film, take their film to the marketing, and they just hand over their film to them. So what are the important steps they have to be take to making the decision for the distribution? Like how they should be move forward, like what step they should take?
Sure. Good. Great questions, Raji. Very great questions. The first thing that the filmmaker should determine is, and I'm guessing here or assuming here that we're dealing mostly with independent filmmakers who have, who are, not big, large studios, but independent filmmakers who are passionate about the business, just like we all are, and who want the best for their film, and they want, they've made this movie. It's got a great story. It's got a great message. It's very, it's got a lot of inspirational things in it. So they want to. So the first step that they should do is decide this movie, what, there are many ways to bring a movie forward, especially nowadays. It's not like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. But right now, the movies are, there's OTT platforms, there's television, there is, again, OTT can include the, internet, it can include certain sites, include television, include satellite channels, and, and so on and so forth. So they should decide on their own, where do they feel, where do they feel that this is, this thing should be good for. And now let's go to the point where they feel that it should go to the the traditional routes for movies. If they have the funding, and if the film warrants it, is theatrical, and then it goes on to pay-per-view, OTT platforms, of course, television, satellite, terrestrial, and then it goes on to, of course, there's revenues like airlines and, hotels and so on and so forth. So, so YouTube's and so on and so forth. So that's the first decision they make. So let's say they've made a decision that they want to release, go the traditional way first, going to the cinemas and so on and so forth. So when they speak to a distributor who they identified has got a good track record, they have to make it very clear with the distributor, because the distributor maybe is expecting the filmmaker or that group to spend the money for the marketing.
Right.
So I will speak about myself. Let's say a person brings a movie to me. So I will look at that movie and I will say, this movie, of course, a lot of it depends on the cast, on the saleability of the movies and the director, and how do I market that movie? Has a director have a success record? Are these stars saleable? So once I determine that, and I've seen the movie, and let's say I'm thinking there's a little bit of a risk here. It may not be saleable, but it's a good movie, and I've had that many times. This is a great movie. So then I may ask the filmmakers group or somebody from the filmmaker to participate on the marketing of the movie, okay, which we'll talk about in a minute, okay? And that, for theatrical, that talks about actual spend of money. How much money is to be spent? We can discuss that, because it's a bottomless pit. No matter how much you can spend a lot of money. There's no end to how much you can spend. I mean, studios I know of have spent $100 million to make a movie and $100 million to market a movie. Or in some situation, let's say Slumdog Millionaire, that I know for a fact. Let's say a movie like Slumdog Millionaire. They might have spent about 5 or 10 million to make the movie, but they spent 40 million plus to market the movie, from my understanding.
Right.
Yeah. So that's that's what they do, because they felt that this movie has that capability or the ability to. So in this situation, on this conversation, this is something that can be discussed with the distributor, and and most of the time, if the distributor is ready to spend marketing money, then then that then your risk is very little, and then they have a lot of confidence. When you get to the OTT platforms and all of these other revenue streams or revenue places that we can go to, you don't need to spend as much money, but you need to have proper contacts. And because they are. Are you part of the, maybe I'm exaggerating here, 10,000 films that were submitted to them this week? Or is there a relationship that distributor has that's a little bit more personal? He's dealing with certain people. He's, and they're saying, hey, Tom or Ken or somebody, let me know about this movie. Because some of them are so busy, they don't watch the whole movie. Some of them do, or they have their teams, watch the movie. So you want to make sure, if your movie is good, that they watch the movie. I'm talking about OTT platforms, your Netflixes, Amazons, and Sony TV and all these other people. In those situations, if the movie is good, there's a good chance that they will give you some sort of a deal where they may say to you, okay, we'll show your movie, but we'll have to be on a revenue sharing basis with you. Place like Amazon.
Right.
So those deals, I think it's important to go to the right person who will speak to them, because they've done that in the past. Many times, get tired of it. Distributors, filmmakers, especially independent ones, don't know, and I'm actually going through that with the two movies presently, and that actually spoils the deals because they've already gone to these platforms, and I've already initiated the talks with them, and that makes my job a little more difficult because they've already did things that were not needed to be done. It wasn't presented properly, you know.
Right.
And it really bothers me when that happens. So it's important to go through the right channel, and it's all about presenting it properly, because a presentation of the movie, it's like you're going to a nice restaurant. They just throw everything on a plate, but if it's properly presented, it's more appealing, and you'll get more interest in it.
Right. So, as you said, there are many way of exploiting your film, different. So, what are the revenue stream of distribution like? How it works?
Okay. It's a question that'll take a long time for me to answer, but I will try to answer it in a very short way. Okay. Theatrical releases in, let's say, United States and other major countries are it's on basically a sharing basis. So in a sharing basis, it might be, you might get 40 to 50% of whatever the collections happen to be.
Right.
And so if the movie grosses $1,000, you'll end up getting $400 or for it. And sometimes the distributor will take a percentage of that, and say, okay, he'll take out his whatever the cost of the film was to market it, and then he might say, okay, my distribution fee is 10%. So out of the 400, maybe the cost of it's 100. Let's say 100 for argument's sake. So left is 300. He might take whatever, depending on the deal, because every deal is different. So he might take, okay, here's $30 from me. I'm giving you a check for $350. So the share was 400. The cost of these was 100, and out of 300, I'm taking my 10%, which is and so it's different deals, and then he'll give you the rest of it for your film. That's the way that works. On the OTT platforms and others, sometimes they'll actually buy the movie. Some platforms, if they feel that the movie warrants it, and they may offer you a certain amount, and then they will give you the whatever that deal is. And again, it all depends. It's like a car. Like if you were to ask me a question, how much is a car cost? I mean, what kind of car is it? New, old, Mercedes? Is it a Ford? There's a lot of variables, but those are negotiated by the distributor who is selling your movie.
OTT refers to you saying the streaming network, right? Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. So streaming like Netflix and all these, there's lots of them, and not only in the United States, they're all over the world. You see, sometimes independent filmmakers don't understand that these platforms are all over the world, and film lovers are in every corner of the world. So in Poland, there might be a certain, of course, Netflix and all these are already there, but there might be a platform that's there, and sometimes they'll dub the movie in that language of that country, and they will take that rights from you. So that was the other thing I should have mentioned. There is everything. I will really strongly recommend you, independent filmmakers. First thing I should have said is, please make sure any deal is done with a contract in writing with all the points, and please don't sign on the dotted line. Just because some of the bad distributors will have contracts, which I've read, and I'm saying, why would a filmmaker sign it? So they should actually either show it to their attorney or read every line, because there's a lot of hidden things in there, which could, if I can use the word, come back to bite you later on. So it's very important to every step of the way to have everything in writing, just like you would on any contract. So
from here, the question also comes like, so when you approach your distribution company or the distributors, so what kind of questions you should ask? Like, related to marketing, related to sales report? Like, could you
Sure.
explore on that? Like,
Sure. Absolutely. So the first thing you should ask, first of all, we talked about the due diligence on the distributor, their past history, what they've done, what references they have, maybe even check on the references. So that's like anything we do in life, whether we go to a doctor, a mechanic, or anybody else, we would do. Now, after that, this is a discussion that you can have once you've determined that you're going with the distributor. Then there needs to be a proper discussion on what are their thoughts on distribution of this movie, and ask questions like if they say, okay, we'll need to, especially if you're participating financially with the distributor, there's nothing wrong with that, because participating with the distributor on the financing, people do with me, you can say that, where we, okay, you've told us that it's going to cost, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 to market this movie. Can you tell us where we're spending that money? And they will tell you. And most good distributors, and I'm hoping everybody will agree on one of them. There's a billing for everything. So we provide, look, we're spending on this radio or this television or on this Facebook page, $2,000, or $5,000, and here's a receipt from the people that we paid to. So you must do that. So that is a discussion that needs to happen. As far as marketing is concerned, we're very lucky in this day and age, very lucky, because there is a lot of marketing that we could achieve, which people should understand. People don't understand, or they should understand. Social marketing, Facebook, social media, absolutely. Social media, media, absolutely. So, how many times, on our Facebook pages, somebody will say, like you can market it there where everybody's visiting, all your Instagrams and, YouTubes and all this, trailers and all. Some of them do cost some little bit of money, but it's not, it's fractional of what it used to cost many, many, years ago. I remember the time where independent filmmakers couldn't even think about television because there was no money, The one comment I will make is when independent filmmakers start a movie, which I respect, they don't think about what's going to end up with the movie in terms of distribution. There's nothing, and the marketing of it. Many filmmakers in places like America and other parts of the world, but since we're in America, I'll talk about America, and especially the studios, they start thinking about the marketing the same time as the film is thought about, believe it or not, And there's a joke in Hollywood that, if the film is going to be announced tomorrow, a day before is when they're talking about the marketing. They've already had their marketing. How are we going to, because the marketing, and I'm not taking paid marketing. The marketing starts the day the movie is announced. Yeah. Because I'm not saying heavy marketing, because you don't want that, but, announcement, there's a upcoming movie based on this subject, so you can start, a soft marketing of the movie very, very fast, very quickly, and I mean, immediately, I should say quickly, but very immediately. And then you can scale it up,
Right.
And then the heavy marketing should start happening maybe about a month, 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks before the actual release date. And the trailer, I would say this is something that you have to plan properly. It's not something that we could just advise, but, they could be like a teaser trailer, could be animated poster, which could kind of come out in interval. Then there's a teaser trailer, and then there's a full trailer. But the heavy marketing should happen 6 weeks before the release, with majority of the marketing, 2 to 3 weeks before the release date. Because as we know, we have so much information, in our heads nowadays that, we're like bombarded with information highway. I don't know what they call it nowadays. And so, you want it to be fresh right in front of their, in their minds. we're watching movies, we're watching this, we're watching everything. So definitely 2 to 3 weeks is when the heavy marketing should happen. And a lot of the free, but things like trailers and posters can happen, 2 months before, because they could be, 6 weeks to 2 weeks. Those are free marketing. When I
Yeah.
go to, I'm a cinema lover. How many times I'll go to the theater and I'm looking at the poster and I go, hey, this looks interesting. I want to, and so it's registered in my head. So people don't take advantage of that. I mean, I've had, filmmakers that are designing their posters 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before the film is to be released. And,
Right,
and,
right, right.
you're not putting that in the theaters where, or the trailers and things like that. They're not taking advantage of that. Free advertising, free marketing.
Mhm. So,
So,
as you said, we are talking about this, the questions when we arise this, like what you should be. So, what is the cap on marketing expense?
oh my God. um, for independent movies, that is a difficult question because every movie is different. Uh, but and every country is different. So let's say if you're releasing a movie, in America, let's just say America, because we're in America, we keep talking about America. For an independent movie, um, ouch, how do I answer that question? Because, let's say if the filmmaker came to me and said, look, I only have, 10,000 or 20,000 to market this movie, I would advise them accordingly, as opposed to somebody who came to me and said, I have 100,000, you know,
Mm.
for marketing. Because the most expensive marketing is in television, and all these kind of medias, radio and television media. But I would say, let's say if you made a movie for, $300,000-400,000, you should think about, you should always have about, I would say as a guideline, keep about 20%, 20 to 25% for marketing. You should
Right.
think about it.
So, does it cover the internal or external expenses both, or how?
To release a movie, especially in theatrical, and that's changing day by day. There is something called a virtual print fee, which each theater, it's not going to the theater. They do charge. Right now, it's 850. It's called virtual print fee, which has to be paid out to a company to show that movie in that theater. So those costs are there. There is cost of digital transfers of the print. Which is called, it could be a digital drive that's going to the theater, or it's downloaded on their server. Those are costs that could be 50, could be $100. People that are involved with that, those costs are there. So there is a cost per print if you're releasing it in the theater. For OTT platforms, you have to, obviously, as you know, digitize it. That costs money, could be $5,000, $10,000 or more, to make a master print or to color code it and all of that.
Right.
So you know all that, right? So that cost is there, which has to be borne by the filmmaker in most cases, or sometimes with the distributor who will take it out from the final payment to the independent filmmaker. So
So, so it's very important as a filmmaker to understand, when you dealing with the distributor. So, what is the cap on marketing expense? What is it include internal or
yeah,
external expense?
yeah,
And then how often they will provide a sales report, and
yeah,
what is their marketing and publicity plan, and
correct.
all those spend, like how much money, how much time they're going to spend on their film, and what is
Yes,
the so is like, do they have to be also know understand, like as I know, the filmmaker has to understand how many films, like during what when they are distributing this film, like how much focus on your film also, is it those are many things you have to be when you dealing with
sure.
distributors.
The way I'll answer that question is, we are in this day and age, we are what we call intelligent consumers.
Right.
So when I go to buy a television, for my family room, and let's say I go to Best Buy or one of the electronic stores, Walmart or Target, I have already done some research. So they should have some knowledge of what is needed when they're talking to the distributor. They should have that knowledge, absolutely, because that way they know that's part of the due diligence on the distributor themselves as well. But in most situations, when you go to a I'm using analogies here, but let's say if I go to a mechanic, I'm hoping that he knows a lot about my car than I do. I don't know pretty well nothing about it. But you should, that's where the distributor comes in, and most of them know, and they will guide you also. Good ones will guide you that, that listen, see, to me, there are two important factors for the filmmaker, One of them is absolutely they want maximum number of people to see their movies, and both are intertwined. Second, what is the revenue that they will receive? So, A minus B equals C. So A is your sales, B is your expensive, and C is your net sales or profit or what have you. So it's important, the filmmaker doesn't want me to come to them with piles and piles of paper and say, look, your film was very successful. Here's all the paper. This is what we spent. And the guy's going to go, hang on a second, where's my check? And then say, where's my check? And I'm going to go, oh, there's no check because the money, So it's important to, to make sure that money is spent wisely. What do they call penny wise and pound foolish? That is something that most good distributors will understand. And that's something you can have a discussion. You can even, many distributors, like I will give you, I'll give people, or other distributors will give them their target, that, low, medium, and high, what they're expecting sales from this movie, from different revenue streams. You should demand that, actually. You should demand that from a distributor, and they'll tell you, look, we can, get you this from US, from, we may be able to sell this movie in Italy for, $10,000, who knows? So that also happens. So these are discussions, these are very important discussions that you should have with the right person or the distributor.
So here we are talking two models. One is the traditional model, which is going through that, and there is the other model, which is a self-distribution. So, so what are the self-distribution and for indie films, and especially how to find that your film self-distribution?
So independent films, if I could say that, and some people may argue with me or disagree with me, independent films are always self-distributing. They're always self-distributing, even if they're working with a distributor, because they're part of it. They have to, a distributor might be, that's the other thing you have to do. A distributor might be releasing 5 films, 4 films, and so you want your film to get the best, because it's, if it's my movie, that's my child in the beauty contest. My daughter is in the beauty contest, so that's important. Now, if they don't want to go to the distributors, that's, to me, I may not agree with that as a smart, strategy, in my opinion. But then they can, just, contact, these revenue, these platforms themselves, and say, look, I've got this movie, and they'll say, okay, send us a screener, that they'll you'll send them the screener, they'll look at it, and they'll say, what, we can't offer. There's not much negotiation you can do, because you're the decision maker. And so that's the other way. You may book the theaters yourself. I mean, it's kind of a half-assed way to release a movie. I'm not sure how much success you'll have, but basically, it's like me trying to fix my own car. I probably, or my own plumbing, which we've all attempted, and I failed miserably. And then I'll call the plumbers, and they'll say, well, something that would have cost you X amount, now it's going to cost you triple of that because you ended up screwing things, But, I would say in most cases, try to work with somebody. It's for the amount that you'll pay, it's worth it, because they have done this before, and they have the relationships, and, I think it's important. I don't know if that's a question that you were answering. I hope I've answered it.
My question is also related to the self-distribution steps, like when
Yeah.
they are as a maker, filmmaker, when we
Yeah.
do the self-distribution, what steps should we take? Like, I know definitely we have to fund our distribution campaign
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
prepare for independent film distribution, like how we're going to be. Maybe it's a four wall deal, or maybe flat rate deal, or or maybe submit to the festival also. That is another point which
Yes.
we
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
discuss on
Absolutely.
that. But
Absolutely.
so a step like decide on online or streaming release strategy, like these are the definitely. So as you
Yeah.
said, it's very important. Like, sometimes filmmaker don't understand certain
Yeah.
things because you are a creative soul, but
Yeah.
so it's always suggest that you have to consult to the third party aggregators.
Yeah. Yeah. You brought out a very good point, which I liked, Raji. Yes, you can absolutely submit to the festivals. Absolutely. And, festivals also get a lot of, basically, you want your film people to know that you've made a movie. Our festivals are excellent ways to find out about your movie. And a lot of the distributors are at these festivals. A lot of people that are working are at these festivals, including myself, by the way. And we're going to these festivals, we're looking at these movies, or we're reading about them. Even if I'm not at at a certain festival or certain markets, you can actually go to markets yourself as well if you like to be a little bit more ambitious. The AFM, American Film Market. You could go to the Cannes Film Festivals. You could go to the Berlin, or the different parts of the world, or New York. And you can, especially these markets, there's Milan, Venice, and Berlin, and all these places. So if you want to be, Asian, you can go to these places, walk around. People have their booths, people have the distributors, or companies have their booths set up. So you can definitely do that, and you can get their cards and say, look, I've got a movie to distribute. Can I send you the information? They said, sure. Or you might have a screener with you. I've had people, I'll go to Cannes or Berlin or AFM. It's a very good place to be in America. And, people will come up to me and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. Can I please leave a screener of a movie with you? Or here's the link for, obviously in this piracy world, you have to be very careful what you're leaving. You might say, I'd love to speak to you about it. Can I talk to you? They said, sure, that's my email. And people will take my email address and send me a link to watch their movie. And then they'll call me after a few days and say, look, you've watched my movies. Would you like me to talk about it? Or to the actual, the cinema chains are there, the Netflixes, and, all these other people, Amazons and, Disneys, and all these people are there as well. So yes, if you like, if you can, you can send them your screeners directly. And that's always a possibility. And festivals, if your movie is being shown at a festival, people are following you because especially the good festivals.
Right.
Being a film lover, I love movies. So do you. I know that. We all go to festivals because we love to watch movies, and I love independent. I'm a big lover of it.
Right.
I'm a very big lover of independent movies. I'll take a good independent movie any day. Love watching it. Just as a filmmaker, I don't have to distribute. As a film lover, I don't have to distribute every movie, but I enjoy it. We all enjoy it. I think some of the best movies are independent filmmakers. They're made from their heart, and I just love them.
Right. So we talk about this VOD distribution platform.
Yeah.
How many platforms, like what kind of platforms are there for VOD distribution platform?
Sure.
Like how we can reach them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, yes. So video on demand is what you're referring to, VOD, or pay-per-view, which has been there forever, for decades. Pay-per-view is there, where I click on a TV or video on demand. I click on my TV, or I go on some platform, and all of a sudden, this movie is available to me for $3.99, $4.99, $10.99. and so on and so forth. YouTube, Amazon, all these places. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Um, if your movie's not, this is my personal experiences. If your movie's not that much known, then you're okay if you go on places like Netflix, because we go on it and we read the synopsis of a movie, we watch a little trailer, and we say, I go to functions and I'll go to parties, and many friends of mine who are not from the film business will say, hey, last week I was on Netflix. I was just browsing and I saw this great French movie. I wouldn't have known about it, and what a great movie. And I said, yeah, I was just browsing and I said, let me check this trailer, and I saw the trailer. So that is always a possibility to do that. Video on demand is paid subscription. I have to pay for it, so that's a little bit of a tough sell. And if I don't know much about the movie, I may not click to buy that movie. But some of them are advertising your movies too. They'll say watch a trailer, and if I think that subject matter is appealing to me, like I might like a crime drama, so I'm looking for a crime drama, and I click on it, and I go, hey, this trailer looks good. Okay, I'll pay for it. But pay-per-view and video on demand is for independent films. To me, does not bring a lot of money, but I hope people have different experiences. My experience has been it doesn't bring a lot of revenue unless the movie is known.
Right.
It's it should be, you can always put it on YouTube and all that. That's another way, with ad revenue. That's a possibility. There's not a lot of revenue that comes, or if it's a lot of views, obviously, but you definitely want your movie out there, so people should know about it.
We mostly filmmakers ignore or maybe are not familiar with the foreign distribution right. As we discussed earlier, also you were talking about distribution, foreign distribution. So what's the revenue model from there? Like how that can be possible?
Yes. So most lot of countries actually, if with a good foreign sales agent, that's another thing. A distributor may be connected to, or he might also be. It's called a foreign sales agent. So many of them, who go to these markets or who have these relationships, these companies actually buy movies of on a minimum guarantee for that particular country.
Right.
Let's say, for example, Germany. Let's say Germany, because I've actually done deals with Germany. I've done deals with every country in the world, but let's say Germany, for example. So Germany, again, you go to markets or you have the relationship with that German distributor. So they'll say, okay, I like your movie. I'll give you $15,000 as a minimum guarantee. And this is our revenue sharing basis. Okay. So now you're guaranteed $15,000 for or 15, 20, 30, 50, whatever that amount happens to be. Every movie has a different price, So they will, for independent movies, they might offer you 50,000, and they'll say, okay, this is then that becomes a minimum guarantee. Now they own the rights for that country, and you might include Netflix or other things. Now they will go and spend their money. They will do what they need to do with the movie, and then give you the accounting after. So they'll say, okay, we release your movie theatrically. They may dub it. They will spend all the money. And you're guaranteed 50,000 or 20,000 or whatever that amount happens to be. Let's come to the middle, 25,000. I'm throwing figures all over the place. Okay? So 25,000. Now they will, so let's say the theatrical and all these revenues and everything is done. So they will send you the reports every month, 2 months. That's on the agreement again. And a distributor may make that agreement. So they will say, okay, this thing cost, so we made, we gave you, our minimum guarantee to you was 25,000. We made actually 40,000 on this movie for Germany. So here's another check for 15,000. Now we're clear. So that's a possibility. Now, if they made 10,000, you were guaranteed 25,000 because that was what we call minimum guarantee. So those deals are also done for several countries, especially the smaller ones, where they actually do that, just so that you know. Or sometimes this is when it might make a deal that it's on sharing basis again, and you have nothing to lose. So in Australia, the guy might say, okay, I'll release your movie, but I'll spend all the money. for you.
Mm.
I'll spend the money, and they may spend the money, and then they'll say, okay, we collected 50,000 profit for your movie. I'm taking my 10% commission. And, we did this, sold to television, sold to the local, VOD platforms and all that. So I took my 10% commission, and here's a check for you. So that's another way to do it, So.
Right. So this is very important for you as a filmmaker, that beside distribution, definitely you like how to bring the attention of the distributor. You have to
Yes.
promote your film also.
Yes.
Yes. Very important. Like building audience for your film is key to your success. And
Yes.
Maybe that we can be, I think, as a filmmaker, can be promote your film with a trailer. It is shareable, and your fan will do the legwork for you, and put together a press kit, because that will help you create a website.
Very important.
And be sure to cultivate an email list of your fan. So
Correct.
like whatever happened, remember this: the skill and connection you make on your journey to securing your film distribution deal will serve you in your current as well as your independent film project to come. So very important that I know with Mr. Khan has a tons of experience. He did thousands of film distributed on theatrical, on VOD, on different platforms, and so he definitely his experience. So we want to know. So I know this talks will be endless, and distribution is,
I love
is so we
it.
can continue talks hours and hours of distribution.
About it,
So very important, this, Mr. Khan, like how to maximize on good distribution, how to move forward with that.
All the steps that we talked about, Raji, absolutely. All the steps that we talked about. Get a good distributor, get them to give you a plan, on how you feel that your movie, take it to the festivals. The minute your film is either completed or while it's being completed, and I'm guessing there's a team involved in that. Get parts of your team, to be your blowhorns, so you should be talking about it. There's nothing wrong with not that there's nothing wrong with it. You should be talking, while the filmmaker or you as an independent. I know there's not a big team, but I'm guessing, I've had filmmakers that have had, family members or their friends who are passionately working with them, who should be talking and doing all this legwork for you while your film is being made, that and talking to people and kind of reporting back to you, because obviously as a filmmaker you are totally involved or evolved into that making of that movie, which is a very important part of it. So let your other people, your team members, talk to the distributors about it, submit to the festivals, have your blowhorn, let the people know, hey, we have this movie coming, talk to your friends. The world has shrunk since social media has, what do we do from morning to night? We're all on it, on these sites and Facebooks and all of that. So let people know, your sites like LinkedIn and all these places, the research engines, search engines as they call it, do your research. And also, it depends on your type of movie it is. For example, if it's a horror movie, you may want to talk more, where we can distribute any movie because its concept is the same. But there's nothing wrong with, I've made a horror movie. This company actually, let's say certain company specializes in distribution of horror movies, or or religious faith-based movies or something like that, So that also, while you're doing your research, you can also look into that as well, So and then like you said, submit to when the film is complete, submit to the festivals, talk to a lot of people, make a lot of buzz about it, make calls, make emails, send emails that, wherever you can, have your friends work with you, and just the word should be out there.
So it's very, very important that, we have to learn how to identify our niche to build our network and create a passionate fan base. And we have to learn how to set our distribution platform and set directly to our audience.
Yes.
You have to understand the market, how to market digitally and socially, and how to monetize.
How to monetize.
That's very important. So and then I know we will continue talking, but in the end, I want to be what you want to final words for the filmmaker.
I'm sorry, what was that question again?
What's your final words for the filmmaker?
Okay. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. We both of us, me and Mr. Rahi, are passionate filmmakers. We're passionate about the film business. Both of us, I know. And if you have if we can help you in any way, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to be the distributor. I don't have to be, but I just don't want you to do the wrong things. So my thing is, I would just say very quickly at the end, the fact that you've made the film, whoever you are, the independent filmmaker, I would like to really salute you. And I mean salute you, give you a salute. Because making a movie is a Herculean task, and you've achieved something that I would say 99.9% of the people have dreams of doing, but they've not done. And the fact that you've done it is, you should be congratulated to know it. So that's number one. Secondly, please don't make the mistake that too many people make, where, don't leave your child abandoned, and don't leave them, orphaned, or, when our childs are born, we take care of it, or plant, we nurture it. So please make sure that you give it the equal importance that you would while making the movie, because it's very important for this important movie that you made. It's got messages in it, it's got entertainment in it, it's got inspiration in it. It's important for you to get that out, and it's important for you to, so please don't take that lightly. I know you won't. And just do the right thing for it after after you've made the movie. These are very important steps, because once the movie is released, or it's like, nobody wants to read a 3-day-old newspaper,
Right.
So we want to, so what you do at the beginning will be the road, paving of the road of what will be happening one after another. So these are very important decisions to make. Before you go, I'll make a very quick story. A gentleman, I remember last year, came to me. Before the pandemic, before last year, and he said it was a regional movie. He wanted me to release it, and he goes, "Can you do me a favor, and I will release you?" I said, "When is your movie releasing?" He goes, "About 2.5 weeks from now." So I joked with him. I said, "How about a deal? If you can make a movie in 2.5 weeks, I will do everything for your movie." And he started laughing. I go, "Why do filmmakers think that, making a movie will take, 6 months, 4 months, a year, 8 months, but releasing it it's like, do it right away." I said, it doesn't work like that. Please give us a chance also to do things properly. Give us a little bit of time. Can we release a movie in 2-3 weeks? Yes, we can, but it's not a proper release. We want to do it properly. So plan it out. Let us work. Let the right distributor, whoever you choose, to work with you, and do it properly. Don't haphazardly, just do it in the last minute. Took you a few months or a year to make the movie, to plan it out. Please give the distributor some time so he can plan out properly his thing. That's a very important part of it.
Very great. So, guys, all film have a revenue potential. That's what we believe. The risk is to understand what the revenue potential for your film.
Yes.
So very important that you have to be take the right step, right team, and in the right approach for the distribution.
Yes.
And I hope there is a lot to talk on the distribution. There is an endless talk. There is more we can do, but feel free to contact us, or anything we can help any filmmaker.
Anyway, it's our pleasure. We're passionate about it. We want successes. And I will just quickly add before you go that I've seen in my life, having released thousands and thousands of movies or not released, sometimes I'll see the filmmaker, you know, who has done a great job of setting things up, and his movie is a success. And it breaks my heart, and I know yours too, Raji, where a great movie was not released properly or was not set up properly, and it's bombed,
Right.
and you that movie and you go, what a great movie! Oh my God, are you kidding? And if you've all seen those movies,
Right.
and you'll say, how come that movie didn't do well?
Right.
You're beating your head against the wall, and it happens all the time, all the time.
Right. So there are many distribution options for the independent producers.
Correct.
So now I think it's your decision how you want to move forward. But
Correct.
best of luck, and we look forward for more and more talks with you. Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
What a pleasure this has been.
Thank you.
Okay.